Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Michael Caruso, and today I'd like to present to you the pandemic from the perspective of my dad. So, a little bit of background information. I wanted to hear what my dad has to say about the current pandemic. I had previously interviewed my dad in a class assignment called The Concept in 60, which was about the evolution of technology and the efficiency of creating Word documents. But this time I wanted to strictly focus on the pandemic and how it has personally affected him, as well as the effects he's noticed on myself, the rest of the family, and others. Um, a little note here, but in order to respect our security, the camera is going to remain off. However, you will still be able to hear the both of us discuss these topics. Uh, so, Dad, thank you very much for taking the time to help me out with this and to be here for this interview. So my first question for the first part of the interview is, how has the current pandemic affected you personally?
It has made me very sad because it feels like you lost time in your life and everything has been shut down. And I see the strain on a lot of people. And I work at a school teaching, and there's a lot of strain and restrictions and on the kids. And it's very frustrating because you never hear anything good coming out of the news. Everything is negative, negative, negative. And you wonder if this can't go on forever because it's hurting everybody mentally, physically, and financially.
Yeah, we'll get back to some of the stuff you said later, but have you ever experienced anything like this before?
Not really.
Yeah.
There's been some minor shutdowns of maybe something because of weather or some strikes
Right.
going on in jobs, but nothing really like this. There was the AIDS scare back in the 70s,
Mm-hmm.
which had everybody scared that you couldn't touch anything or go near anyone.
Right.
And it's not really close to this.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you, Dad, what do you personally do to de-stress in times like this?
Just try to focus on, this is going to be over soon, more positive stuff, and try not to read all the negative stories or keep hearing everything that's the bleak outlook on everything. Just try to keep posted on positive things.
Yeah, that kind of goes into my next question, Dad, is, the news and media can get kind of toxic sometimes. So how do you desensitize yourself from all the information?
I just turn it off.
Yeah.
The news is very biased, and it seems like they just want one narrative the whole time. They just want to keep this. It almost seems like they want to keep this pandemic going forever.
Right.
To keep everybody under their control or the government's control. And I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but that's just the way it seems.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I understand what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just won't watch it. I'll try to watch other stuff I like watching on television, or just trying to tune it out.
Right. So now let's get into the next part of this interview. So how do you think this current pandemic has affected me as a fourth-year senior at Ohio State?
I think it's affected, all the students tremendously, because I think it takes a lot away from their academic life, their college life.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like you lost a year. It's almost like being, really sick in the hospital and you're laid up for a year with broken legs or some kind of head injury.
Yep, exactly. How do you think the pandemic has affected our family?
It's affected our family financially, because I know there has been job loss, and job reduction. So it's definitely, even myself, I lost my second job because of the pandemic, because it was totally shut down. So it's definitely affected us financially.
How do you think your parents, my grandparents, would have reacted to everything that's happening?
They wouldn't understand it well, and it would be very hard to keep them under the restrictions, like wearing the mask and not going places. I think they would have, not only would have, this hurt their health, but I think it would have really hurt them mentally.
Yeah, but you would say as a whole that our family is just, it hasn't been easy for us.
No, it hasn't been easy for, I look at us, I look at a lot of people in worse off situations.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we're in the last part of this interview, Dad, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
So how many years of experience do you have working in schools with kids?
Over 40 years.
What's your job title specifically?
What I do now, I'm just a teaching assistant.
Teaching assistant?
Basically in charge of all the playground and recess. I did special needs, special education
Yeah.
for over 35 years.
So, in your current position, right at the school you currently work at, how have the kids reacted to this pandemic?
Surprisingly, the kids have been really great this year.
Really?
Keeping their masks on and trying to, maintain the distance and going by all the different rules and regulations. We finally gotten all the kids back into school
Yeah.
a couple of weeks ago, so at least there's more socializing and they can be with their friends now. It's almost back to a normalcy, but still have to wear the mask and still have to keep a lot of restrictions.
How would you say the reactions are from the children's families, like the parents and stuff?
Some of the parents have reacted positively, and some are still very, very wary of the kids being around, going to school, and some are still very cautious.
Have any of the children or their families, their parents, what have you, have any of them personally voiced their opinion to you about the current situation?
No, I don't. There's some things online, but I don't.
Yeah.
No one's come and said anything. Some of the kids just know when to wear their mask and know what to do, and
So, a few more questions, Dad.
Sure.
What advice do you have for current college students dealing with this pandemic?
Just stay afloat. It's going to be over. Things are trying to get back to normal. I know it will be over soon. Try to, if you can stretch out a little more of your college life and stuff, go ahead and add on another year, because it's almost like you lost a year. Don't be in such a hurry to get going and get out of there, because the job market is still fluctuating. I think it'll take another year to get back to normal.
Right. Dad, I'm a big proponent of mental health and how important it is to students. Do you think that it's important that colleges address mental health of students and faculty?
Yeah, I know Ohio State's done a good job. If there's people you want to talk to, or groups, over the computer, and hopefully they can get back to some physical groups. If there is help to seek and people to talk to that are in the same situation, to fight off the depression of just being shut in and alone.
I think going off that, the professors are dealing with this as much as the students are. It's just a huge issue, and I think OSU's done a decent job at least addressing it.
Yeah, it's really hard. I know how it is for teachers I work with. They've had to do double the work almost, instead of having kids in class. Professors, I can't imagine the work they got to do, because college classes should be in person. It has to be a lot more interaction and social activity.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any advice for children's parents, like families going through this right now?
No, just keep in contact with your schools, and make sure that you have all the they're aware of everything, and make sure they're just following the criteria. But I tell the parents to just don't worry and think that your schools are doing something bad, because they're doing the best they can.
Try not to pay too much attention to the news.
No, the news just, like I said, it almost seems like it wants us to stay like this month after month after month, and they don't realize what harm that's causing.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I'm definitely with you on that. Well, thank you, Dad, for being here for this interview. Do you have any closing thoughts or anything you'd like to say?
Stay positive, and I know things are going to get better, and hopefully, I think by the end of the summer, things will almost be back to a normalcy.
Yeah, hopefully. I think, we have to have at least a little bit of optimism. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed listening to my dad, and stay tuned for the rest of this blog. And thank you for watching.